Alright boys, welcome back to the garage and welcome back to another video on the channel. We are working on the Yamaha JOG again today, which seems to be one of the favorited builds on the channel currently. If you weren't following along, we threw a Stage 670 racing kit in here. We got it running in the last video with a brand new Yasuni City 16 pipe and a bunch of other goodies we threw on here. Go back and watch that if you haven't yet. But today we're doing some more tuning and we got gears to do. I mentioned the gears a few times in the last video and we were waiting on those to come in. So right here we got some new gears, TWH, they're 1432. If you don't know how to check the ratio, I will be showing you that here shortly in just a little bit. And we will be showing you how to install these gears. We are going to get a lot more top speed now utilizing these gears, changing the ratio on which the actual wheel spins compared to what the motor spins. So we should see some more top in there, keep the revs down, and we will lose a little bit of that bottom end torque, which is just pulling the front wheel up on this thing, but I have no doubt that it is still going to be super torque off the line. As you know, we were waiting on an air filter last time as well, and we cut out the frame to fit that air filter in the last video, so we have an air filter to now throw on there. And like I said, I've really been wanting to change the headset on this since I got the bike, and I am happy to say that we have started collecting some of the parts for that. So we have a headlight, a new cluster here, the proper blinkers, and the proper front headset. So as you can tell, it's a lot different in the style that it is. The only thing I really would like to find is a purple backing, which is hard to find. I could buy a regular backing all day long, but I wanted to match it with the purple set. So I'm still on the hunt for that. If anyone watching this video has that, if not, I'm gonna go with the black one. I also need an actual pair of handlebars because the handlebars have different mounting, and this one has a totally different mount for the Speedo rather than the proper handlebars that go with this headset. So if you are able to source a pair of those handlebars, please DM me on Instagram at MOPBOYZ and help your boy get a hold of one of those headsets. And of course the clusters in kilometers on this one rather than miles per hour. Not much difference on the cluster here. I kind of like the US spec one a little bit more, but the shape of it's actually different, so you need this model for the rear headset backing. Alright, with that being said, I wanted to show a difference with mainly focusing on the gears on this bike. So we are going to do a run right now, a little bit of a ride, using our draggy. Basically this tracks your miles per hour by GPS. It also tracks your 0 to 60 and your 8th mile. We're going to set this on the bike and mostly focus on kind of where we're sitting on the top speed on this thing, and then we're going to come back, put our gears in, check it again without touching any of the CVT tuning. I just want to see exactly what the difference is when we just change the gears before we keep messing with the tunings.
I'm letting off the gas a little bit right here on this turn.
I don't know about that one, boys. Turn was sketchy. Oh my god, that's stock gears. What I say in the video, I think we're doing 65. I think that's what we just did. I think we did a 65 in there. All right, after ripping the jog around, we're getting pretty much where I estimated in the first video of riding it, and I said about the 65 mile per hour range. We hit like 66 at one point. That's with the stock gears, and that is with zero tuning since we built this motor. So this is literally just the setup I threw in here, and we still have a lot to do. But now it is time to get the actual gears set up and then tune to that setup. So we jump right into changing out the gears, taking off the kicker case, and then checking everything, checking the travel in our front pulley because we put a Sharpie mark on it last time. It looked like we were getting pretty good travel in the front, so we just continue with pulling everything off, kind of inspecting everything after the first ride. Now these gears are 1432 tooth. I get a lot of people asking me, how do you check the ratio? Now I'm not sure what this scooter is ratio wise, but I'm assuming it's probably like 11:1 ratio. And how you're going to check that is basically how many times does this main gear spin for the tire to spin one time. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mark it here in the case. with a little bit of Sharpie, and then on the spline. And I'll do the same thing here, back here. You can see that back there, my camera doesn't want to focus, but I put a little dot on the rim here with a dot on the case. And we have a dot there on the spline and a dot there on the case. So we're going to see how many times does this spin around for the wheel to spin around one time. 1, 10, 11, a little bit past 11. A little past 11. So yeah, like I thought, 11-to-1 ratio. I think Honda Elite stock are 13-to-1. Makes sense why this one still hits 65, because usually with the Honda Elites, they are way maxed out on the gears by the time you're hitting that type of speed with the 70 kits. So we're going to drain the gearbox oil now, and we'll throw it all in, and then we'll check what the ratio is going to be after we install our gears. Continued with taking everything off, so we popped off the gear cover, kind of shimmying the gear cover off because you kind of have to pull it out of the splines of the other gear. Of course, double checking that our gasket was the correct one, because we had issues doing Roberto's bug eye build where we got the wrong gasket in twice. So Minarelli, there's a bunch of little different types of gaskets for the gear covers. And of course, continued with cleaning everything. So we cleaned all the excess oil that was in there, and we removed all the excess gasket that came off as we took off the old gasket, because most of the time it's going to rip. Got our press ready to press out the old gears. So easy enough, we pressed out the old one using a socket, and then you put the new one right into there. So that's the 14-tooth gear, we're pressing in there, and we got that set all up. We also pulled off the main shaft gear, which holds on the back wheel, because that's the one we're going to be changing out. Is the gear that is pressed onto there. So we removed that, and of course got it over to the press and got everything set up for that using a socket as well, pressing that out, dropping the press down, and pressing in the main gear. We had to double check it was pressed in the right amount, which it sits flush onto the other side. After pressing that in, we went back over to the bike and got everything set back in there, throwing on the back wheel. Luckily we didn't have to pull the pipe completely off, because this pipe has a removable header, so we just kind of spun it out of the way. Alright, there is a way to do the math, obviously, and see what ratio you do going off what the actual splines of the gears are, but we're doing it like this: 6, 7, 8. So it's about 8 to 1 now. It's about 8.5 to 1 right now. That's a pretty big jump, but that's pretty much what we did on all my Honda Elites. We go from 13 to 1 to 8 to 1. So should be a pretty big difference. I don't like how much slop it feels like there's in there, but I know that since the way that this shaft is on these, it doesn't have an actual part it sits in on the inside of the case here. It actually kind of floats, and then the inside of the kicker case, it has a bearing. So rather than it sitting into a slotted area on the case like normal, it's on this side. All right, we got it all thrown back together with the new gears in there. We got our air filter on there. You can't really see it, but she's in there. No tuning, no changing to the actual variator weights or shimming or anything of the such. We're gonna try it with just the gear swap and see the difference right now. It is so hot right now. It is literally 107 degrees outside. 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Absolutely insane. We're not gonna be able to get much riding in on this thing. It is just, oh man, it's unbearable. Oh, it's much better. Much better. The front end does not just like, I can actually stay in it, is what I mean by that. Because before you'd have to baby it off the git. It still picks that front end up, but it's nowhere just like ripping out of your hands like it was. That's good. Oh yeah. That mid-range feels a lot better now. We're gonna see once we actually set up the Draggy. The mid-range feels better. Definitely gonna have a higher top mile per hour. We gotta tune out that bottom end though. But like I said, boy, this is exactly the roller weights that we had just thrown in from the get. Seems like it's like the clutch isn't engaging as snappy as I like. It's kind of soggy. It's kind of engaging a little too soon, so we might have to make those clutch springs a little stiffer. It almost wants a little bit more fuel right there too, it sounds like. We might have to change that needle clip. I think it wants a little bit more fuel right there off that rip. I think jetting's fine in the top end because I checked the plug, and temps wise we're looking really good. I think that bottom end wants a little bit more fuel though. It sounds like it has a little bit of a lean bog right there when you punch it. Plus the clutch is just engaging a little too early, so it's not engaging at the right RPM. Cruising at 25.
definitely want more rev now that the gears are taller. We definitely have to lighten those weights.
I thought this was pretty interesting looking at the difference in the runs before and after the gear change. As you can see, when we didn't change any of the roller setup, once we put those taller gears in, the bike didn't have enough rev to continue with it with the rollers that were in there. So you could see that it's pretty much the same up to like the 8th mile. We started getting a little bit slower, and then that's where our 0 to 60 dropped in that mid-range because it just didn't have enough rev to pull it through that mid-range. We also lost about 3 miles per hour total there, and we were only not even a second slower. So the time really didn't change that much. It was more just the mile per hour because we didn't have the bike revved as much. So we needed to take it back in, lower down those roller weights, and get the bike revving more so we can carry through the gearing a little bit better. A major thing that we're going to be doing next video on the jog is we're going to be cutting up this kicker case and venting that out, because right now after those few pulls, this thing is insane. It feels like a campfire right here, man. The amount of heat that this thing has pushing out right now with no ventilation through here is just crazy. So that's obviously softening our clutch and everything, especially with it being 110 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Everything is hot. So even with just a few pulls on this thing is like literally way untouchably hot right now. The temp on the actual cylinder is only about 218 degrees Fahrenheit right now, but this kicker area and where it's not vented, forget about it. All right, we took out our 3 6-gram roller weights that we had in there, and we had the others were 4.5s. We threw all 4.5s in. I don't have too many variables of weights right now because I keep just building scooters and I keep reusing all my weights on a lot of the scooters, so I don't have too many options. But threw a little Sharpie line, but from what I saw last time, we were running completely full travel on our front variators. I'm gonna tune out the carb a little bit because I think we are running a little rich, but it almost seems like on the bottom end there's a little bit of a lean bog. So I want to mess with that, but I want to kind of get a feel right now for the variator weight situation and then tune out from there. Oh my god. Shit. So we gained some top end, boys, but we still have I do notice the biggest is off the takeoff. Now, once we get this clutch cooled down for one, because it's way too hot, change the clutch springs or tighten them up, I think we're gonna have a really, really good takeoff. Right now it's a little boggy, one because, like I said, it's all soggy, the contra is soggy, everything's super heat soaked right now, but carb wise it feels actually really good. So as you can see from the beginning of this video, when we had the draggy on the same distance on what we were starting off right now, we're gaining about 5 miles per hour. Now getting to the quarter mile, it's almost roughly about the same. It's hard to tell because my 60 foot keeps changing, as you could see, and we keep having a little bit of issues here and there, and now right now it's just completely heat soaking this contra spring, and I think our contra is dead. I think our clutch springs are a little off, so our engagement off the gate has completely changed. But we're hitting like 69, 70 miles per hour in that quarter mile. If I kept it pinned past a quarter mile, I think we'd probably see about 75 before we completely max out right now. With that being said, you could change a few things. We can bring the revs back down a little bit, add a little bit more heavier rollers in there, and then maybe see it go a little bit more, but we're gonna keep taking away from that bottom end. I'm pretty happy with where it sits right now. I just need to get the takeoff a little better, so we're gonna work on doing the clutch and everything a little bit better on that. Just 73, 75, somewhere in that range mile per hour bike right now if you kept it fully pinned for like almost half a mile. Most importantly right now with that clutch heat soaking, I think I'm gonna go ahead and I have a stage 6 strong spring right now. I think I'm gonna throw this in there because right now what we have is a 1500, and I believe these are 2K springs. I want to try a little bit of a stiffer contra in there. I think that's gonna help with bringing that shift to a later point. It might help us keep the revs in the beginning part, so our 8th mile and quarter mile is going to be a little bit faster there. But it is time we start getting ready for a ride out tonight. I decided that I'm going to bring the Pook on its first ride out. We haven't really been riding this thing since we built it. We rode it for a couple videos and finalized it, but it's time we get this thing on a ride out. So we're going to go meet up with some moped homies and we're going to go hit a trail, a ride to actually another city that's about an hour and a half ride from here. Through a little mountain pass.
We're out, boys. Really putting all my trust into the Pook right now because I haven't really rode it other than around the block a couple times. So we'll see how it does. Here we go, boys. On to the trail, boys. A lot of glass right off the rip. Oh man, we're putting the Pook to the test today. I fixed the suspension. There was the front fork brace I had was banging really bad against my triple tree, so had to cut that piece off just to support in the front. You can't really see it right now, but fixed that. I did some minor tuning on it today before I left the house. Changed the sprocket one more time. It rips. Definitely have it low geared on purpose for the wheelies. As you can tell, it's a stunt bike, boys. But this ride is about 36 miles, I think, for just the one way. So we will be putting it to the test today, boys. We're jumping the Pook. Oh my god. Oh, I just shot on my nuts. Oh, that fucking hurt.
Don't jump! Don't jump!
Big old bug stuck in my helmet. Holy sh! Knock on wood, but the Pook right now, it's doing me good, man. It's a trusty steed right now. Flexing. We're going into the nighttime now. We made it all the way to Boulder City. It's like 40 miles on the other side. We made it to literally a different city right now on mopeds. The only way to get over here is a straight up highway, 70 miles per hour. So, you know we had to hit the mountain pass, and we made it work, boys. There's a moped store. What do they got? What do they got? They don't have any, they have a Zuma. It's a 4-stroke Zuma though. Jenny's scooters. Nothing good. Nothing good.
That is going to do it today for the jog, and I hope you guys enjoyed the little bit of riding we did on the Pook. It was a lot of fun. I was glad I was able to bring that thing out. Clocked in 80 miles on a round trip on that thing. So I haven't put more than like 5 miles on it before that. So we went through, and this thing is a trusty steed. It held completely through. There was no issues. Until next time, boys, make sure you guys like, subscribe. Summer merch line dropping very, very soon with a giveaway coming. So see you guys in the next one.